Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the session. Hi, Akshita, Dharani, Behel, Priyanka. While everybody is joining, we can wait for another 5 more minutes before we start with the masterclass. Hi, everybody. We are just starting with the masterclass in another couple of minutes, waiting for others to join. I think we can start the session now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for the session today. Uh, and Let me start with a quick introduction of Professor Shastri. So Professor Shastri is a luminary in the world of business, having a stellar educational background and a wealth of experience. Professor Shastri holds a BTech from IIT Kanpur and an MBA from IIM Calcutta. He is a serial entrepreneur, startup ecosystem evangelizer, and a chairman of Geospatial Data Promotion and Development Committee for the Government of India. As the co-founder of Crayon Data, Srikant pioneers AI and data-driven solution. And as a venture partner at Entrepreneur First, he nurtures emerging talent in the startup ecosystem. Srikant is currently visiting faculty at Ashoka University and BIT School of Management. He is also the co-author of the best-selling book, The Ventilator Project, based on his real story on how the IIT Kanpur consortium built a world-class product during India's COVID-19 lockdown. This is truly an honor to have you here, Srikant.
Thank you, Mehek. Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be here this evening at this masterclass. Let me start by saying namaste, hello, namaskara, namaskar in as many languages as possible. So I have a question for the people attending the masterclass. Uh, most of these are familiar names, but if I asked you, the one on extreme right, Khurumjari, and the one on top, Jule, what language is it? Which part of the country is it? Would you know that? I would love to hear from you in your chat box. Shrishti, go ahead. You can answer through chat box, or if I don't know whether you can unmute yourself and give an answer, please go ahead. Okay, so what is Shrishti saying? Ladakh is correct for Jule. What about Khurumjari? Anyone? Any wild guesses? Let me give you a hint. Broadly, this is laid out in the map of India, along the map of India. So clearly, this is somewhere in the east. Jule is on top, Ladakh. So what do you think Kurumjari is? Anyone? Any guesses? No guesses? Go ahead, Shrishti. Well, the answer is Manipur. That's Kurumjari. Let's move on. First of all, big thank you to all of you for being here this evening. And I want to ask a quick question, and this can be a response in the chat box. It's a quick poll I want to run. Once you complete your MBA, for the first 3 years after your MBA, what are you most likely to be doing? Option A, working for a large or mid-sized company. Option B, working for a startup. Option C, an entrepreneur doing your own startup. So you can just respond in the chat box A, B, or C. I'd just love to get an overview for how all of you are thinking. A, B, or C. Any responses? Can I have some quick responses, please? Spontaneous responses. You don't need to overthink this. A, B, or C? I'm not seeing any responses, Mehek, are you? Okay, so there is maybe, sorry, I'm seeing one response saying may C, one response saying C. Okay, anyone else? Just one response, which is C, an entrepreneur. No one else has any views at this point of time? Okay. A, B, A. So, okay, so a lot of people are saying working for a large company. Okay, not surprising because most people after an MBA want a safe job, paying a good salary. There's pressure from the family and the peer group saying, let's go and start working in a job. And I see many more responses coming in the chat box also. B, B, C, B, A, C. So lots of people are saying working for a startup, and there are some who are saying an entrepreneur doing your own startup. So it's a good mix. Congratulations. Let me move on. And therefore, in this session, my focus is on today's volatile business environment. And we all know that because of COVID, because of technology, because of geopolitics, the business environment is very volatile and it needs an innovation and entrepreneurial mindset. It's a mindset. And it's not just startups where innovation is required. This is today required in large companies also. And therefore, that mindset is important for you, irrespective of what kind of career you pursue, whether in large companies or in startups. And in this session, in this masterclass, my aim is to help you think about careers in both these worlds, the world of startups and the world of large and mid-sized companies. How are we going to do that? I'm going to do that through 4 stories. And inside each story is one idea that I'm going to leave with you today. So today's agenda in these 4 stories, the first story is about why AI makes entrepreneurship so exciting today. The second story is about large companies. Why did some iconic large companies die? Third is about speed in the age of AI and innovation. And fourth is about the need to move out of your comfort zone. So 4 stories. Let's start with the first story. So when Badruka School of Management invited me to host this masterclass today, I wanted help. So I went to ChatGPT and asked a question. I said, I have to deliver a masterclass on entrepreneurship in the world of AI to prospective students of BSM. I have heard these students are super smart and I'm feeling nervous. So this was the concern I gave to ChatGPT. ChatGPT responded by saying, it's natural to feel nervous, but remember, your expertise matters. Focus on sharing your knowledge with passion and clarity. Tailor your content to resonate with the audience. Engage with them effectively. Take the time to rehearse and anticipate potential questions. So, what I did was to calm myself down. I first created some music, and it took me just a couple of minutes last Sunday to create this music, and I'm going to play this music for you. So it took me just 2 minutes to create this music on Sunday. And how did I do that? I used a tool sorry, called Beethoven.ai. This is one of the startups I mentor. They allow you to create unique, free music tailored to your needs. And it's very simple. How do you create this music? You can do it for free, but if you want to use it for commercial purposes, you have to pay a subscription fee. So they do it in 2 ways. One is text to music. You can type in to describe the kind of background music you need, and the AI will generate music. The second approach is where you indicate what kind of mood you want, what kind of emotion you want, what kind of music you want, pop, rock and roll, blues, and it will kind of create the music for you once you specify the duration of the music. And it's very easy to create this music. And then it gives you a set of tracks that you can preview and you can pick and choose, and it'll tell you what instruments have been used, what genre it is, and what is the tempo of the music. And you have a set of music tracks from which you can pick one. I'm going to request all of you to do a simple exercise in the next 3 minutes. You're all online. So I'd like you to sign up as a user on Beethoven.ai and create your own music track. Now, to keep it simple, to make it fast, when it asks for duration, say 30 seconds. And I would say rather than I gave you two options, right? Key in text and text to music. Don't do that. Use the other option where you can specify the mood, the tempo, the kind of music, and the duration. And I want to see what happens. So it's 6:46 by my watch. I'm going to give you time till 6:50 to try and create this and see how much progress you're making. Let me know if you need any clarifications. Otherwise, please do get started. I'm keen to see what kind of music you create. And let me know when you're done. Any doubts? Let me know. Or all clear? Beatoven.ai. Just BEATOVEN.ai. Send a message through the chat box or raise your hand once you think you got some music created. Sometimes it takes long to process if you specify a high duration or if it's a complex piece of music. But usually it's simple. Okay, you got a minute and a half to go, 2 minutes to go. Okay, last 1 minute. I'm looking forward to hearing from you through raised hands or a message in the chat box if you got your preview music ready. You may not be able to download, but you can certainly preview it. Okay, last 20 seconds. Who's going to be the first one? Anyone? We are out of time on this one. I hope you at least started the process. It can keep the music can keep processing in the background, but I would like to move on. Is that okay? Okay, so I'm going to move on in the interest of time. Uh, just for information, these are the two founders of Beethoven who I've had the privilege of mentoring. And the only reason I want to give you some idea about their profile is that the two co-founders are both passionate about music. The one on the left, Mansoor, he's a seventh generation sitar player from the Dharwad Gharana. He's a very good sitar player. His co-founder, Siddharth, is a specialist in music technology, and he's been working with the space of audio and music technology since 2017. And the two of them came together to give life to their passion by building a startup which is around AI generated music. So it shows you that whatever be your passion, in their case, it's music, you can build a entrepreneurial venture in that area, and AI can accelerate the process. So imagine one of you is interested in food, another is interested in animals and pet, someone else is interested in environment. In every case, you can convert your passion into a venture, and AI can play a big role. So that's the story I wanted to leave with you. The key message is tip number one: get ready to ride the AI wave. And why do I say that? And why do I emphasize this? Let's go back in time and look at history. 1994 was when internet really took off, with the launch of a browser called Netscape Navigator. At that point of time, Sundar Pichai was 22 years old, Satya Nadella was 27 years old. They were both in their 20s, just like all of you, and they rode the internet wave. And they rode that internet wave to become CEOs of large companies. So they grabbed that opportunity with both their hands. So the message I want to leave with you is AI is taking off now, just as the internet took off in 1994. This is a great opportunity for anyone in their 20s today to say, this is the wave I'm going to ride. This is the wave I'm going to ride to success. This is the wave I'm going to ride to make it really big in my career. So that's the key message I wanted to leave with you. It's the perfect age, perfect time for you to ride the AI wave to climb as high as you wish. So that's my first thought for you. Let's take one example of how it's transforming every sector. If you just take healthcare, traditionally, we've gone and done X-rays and CT scans, MRIs, etc. But just in radiology, there are 96 companies who are using AI to build the next generation of radiology technology. Whether it is for this multiple disease detection, stroke detection, point of care diagnostics, brain health diagnostics, heart disease diagnostics, everything AI is now coming to play. And this is true for every sector: transportation, agriculture, you name it, AI has a role to play. That's my first message to you. My second message, sorry, this should say story number two, is I want to go back in history to look at the fate of some large companies that failed to keep up with the times. And this is a company called Kodak, which some of you may not even know because it hasn't existed for the last 12 years. But when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, and till the mid 90s, and even till the end of the last century, Kodak was a market leader, global market leader in photography. In those days, there was no digital photography. So all photography, you had to put in a film inside a camera and take pictures, and Kodak was a global leader. And if you look at the graph on the left side, in the mid 1990s, they had, or early 1990s to mid 1990s, they were at the peak. The share price was at the peak, number of employees was at the peak, and after that, it started declining rapidly. What happened? And to figure out what happened, look at the graph on the right side. Around 2000, you can see two companies: Kodak, an American company, and Fuji, which is a Japanese company. Both companies were in the photography business. Kodak did not diversify. They remained stuck in analog photography. Fuji saw the onset of digital photography and diversified. They got into other businesses, document solutions. They purchased, they had a joint venture with Xerox, and they remained steady. Whereas Kodak declined and declined and declined and declared bankruptcy in 2012. Why did this happen? Why did Kodak not anticipate the change that was happening around the world with digital photography? Well, the answer lies that many old companies are lazy, they're complacent. When things are great, they ignore potential threats. So they ignored the threat from digital photography. And they said, no, our sales is not stagnating because of digital photography. That's so new. And suddenly one day when sales start dropping, there is panic reaction. And they start firing people, selling some factories, shutting down offices. And by then it's too late. Digital photography has overtaken the world, and Kodak was a dead company. The same thing happened to many other iconic companies. Nokia used to be the market leader in mobile phones, but same with BlackBerry. Both of these companies underestimated the threat from smartphones. Nokia and BlackBerry were both non smartphones, they were feature phones, which was the original market. But when Apple introduced the iPhone, these guys laughed at it and they said, smartphones are a niche market. It's not a threat to us. And suddenly, you know what? Smartphones took over the market, and Nokia and BlackBerry just died because they underestimated the source of danger. And we see this in company after company. And I'm going to come back to the example of Microsoft. The person on the left is Satya Nadella. The guy in the middle is Bill Gates, again, a very famous personality. He was the founder of Microsoft. And the guy on the right was someone who succeeded Bill Gates. So between Bill Gates and Satya Nadella, the guy on the right, the bald guy, Steve Ballmer, was the CEO. He was a failure. And look at what happened. This graph is a very interesting graph. In 2000, Bill Gates stepped down as CEO because he wanted to do social work. He set up Gates Foundation and he named Steve Ballmer as the CEO. The share price dropped and remained stagnant till 2014 when Satya Nadella became the CEO. And suddenly, fortunes turned once again because Satya Nadella came in and transformed the company to face the realities of the new world. He brought in things like cloud computing, etc. And Steve Ballmer was a complete failure because he did not know how to cope with the changing world. So I have a question for the class today. If I asked you to think about which other large companies do you think could be facing a Kodak-like extinction risk for their business, what would your answer be? You're familiar with names of many large companies. Which global companies do you think face a similar danger of their business declining or even getting killed or shut down? Any thoughts? Answer through the chat box again or Q&A. I'd love to get some initial views from you of which companies do you think are in danger because the pace at which the world is changing. Any views? No thoughts? Which companies in India do you think are at Yahoo? Good point, Srishti. Yahoo has already declined a lot from its heydays in 20 years ago because it did not anticipate the risk from Google. It did not get into social media. So Yahoo is certainly a great example. Anyone else? Any other companies that you can think of which are not coping well with the changing world? What about some of the Baiju, Shanti, good example. Baiju had other challenges financially. They raised too much money, focused on valuation rather than business, but great example. We also have in front of us some of the iconic public sector companies in India. Air India, for example, did very badly. They could not compete with other airlines, had to be finally sold. Tata's had to acquire it. Akshita, Facebook, good point. Why do you say, I'm curious to know if you can respond, build on this further. Why do you think Facebook could be in danger? What's your view? Okay, you can put down your comments as we move along, but it's an interesting argument. So in India, Air India is a good example. BSNL, Bidesh Sanchar Nigam Limited was an exactly, Shanti, great example. I was about to say BSNL when you preempted me. So Yahoo, Baiju, BSNL, Facebook, a lot of people believe that with the onset of ChatGPT, Google search is under threat also. Pehel Jain, Tata Steel, I'm curious to know why you say Tata Steel. So as we move forward, I'd love to get one line explanation rationale from you for why you think Steel is at risk. And likewise, Akshita, I'd love to know from you why you think Facebook is at risk. But good answers. Let's move on. I'm going to show you this video. And this is again a battle between an old company and a new company. And I want your view on how do you think this battle will eventually end. This one, sorry, I'm not going to play this. I'm going to request, okay, let's play this actually rather than shift it to. NVIDIA versus Intel. Look at how from 2014 onwards it's changing. The market cap. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my slide and then ask you a question. How do you think this battle will end? We saw how NVIDIA, which is a company currently in the news for being one of the most valuable companies in the world, initially start growing rapidly because of Bitcoin mining. After that, during the pandemic, there was demand for remote working. Again, their chips were in demand. And now, because of ChatGPT and OpenAI, again, their chips are in demand. So Intel was an iconic old company, but it lagged behind in terms of its technology advancement. So you can see how such an iconic company like Intel has also been overtaken by a newcomer like NVIDIA. And therefore, every company has to be careful. Therefore, tip number 2 that I want to leave with you is that the mindset of innovation, the mindset of AI is important, and you need to carry that into any kind of job that you get into after your MBA. It could be a big company, small company, startup, large corporate. In all these cases today, companies are giving great value to employees who are able to bring an innovation mindset and an AI mindset. And that's something if you should keep in mind when you write your CV eventually, it should reflect the fact that you are capable of doing innovation, that you understand AI, and that CV or biodata that you create will carry great value. And that's the second tip I wanted to leave with you. So here's the question for all of you. What is the difference between an entrepreneur, that's a term you would have surely known, and another term called intrapreneur? What do you think is the difference between these two terms? If I'd love to get your views again through the chat box, or please raise your hand, whichever way. I'd love to get your views. entrepreneur and intrapreneur. What's the difference? Who wants to take a chance and give me an answer? I'm going to give this 20 seconds to see if anyone wants to answer this question. Have you heard of the term intrapreneur? Okay, I'm going to give it 10 more seconds. Otherwise, I will move on and provide the answer myself. Okay, let me provide the answers. Let me give you a hint first, actually. I'm going to give you 4 examples of 4 well-known products. Gmail, Sony PlayStation, Post-it notes, Amazon Echo, and Amazon Prime. So, yeah, Shanti, you're right. Within organizations, when you do this, it's called intrapreneurship, not entrepreneur, intrapreneurship. Absolutely correct answer. And here are 4 examples. Gmail got created because an employee called Paul Buchheit uh, created this as part. Google has a policy which says 20% of your time you can use for personal projects or coming up with innovations, which then the company supports. So Gmail was an outcome of something like that. And today we know Gmail is a big product. Likewise, at Sony, the Sony PlayStation happened because a junior staff member there created a chip to improve his daughter's Nintendo gaming experience. And he went to his CEO and said, look, this could be a big business opportunity. And that's how Sony PlayStation happened. Similarly, Post-it notes that we all know, all use, happened at 3M, Amazon Echo and Amazon Prime inside Amazon. Uh, yeah, Tejashree, correct. When you start your own company, it's entrepreneur. And when you do it within an existing organization, it is intrapreneur. So if you look at the definition of intrapreneur, it's a combination of 2 words. Intra means within, entrepreneur. So manager within a company who promotes innovative product development and marketing is an intrapreneur. This is one dictionary definition. And here's another one. An employee within a large company who takes direct responsibility for turning an idea into a profitable new product, service, business, etc., instead of leaving to start their own company. The advantage is that Ria has said entrepreneur starts their own company, whereas an entrepreneur works at a company that someone else founded. 100% correct. The benefit for an intrapreneur is that you don't take the risk of putting in your own money. The company provides the money, the infrastructure, etc., whereas an entrepreneur takes a lot more risk. That's the difference. My third story for this evening is about these 2 young men, Nikhil and Harshit, who I met and got involved with very closely during COVID. And I'm going to narrate the story now. So they were running a company called Nokark Robotics. As you can imagine, it was a robotics company. And what you see here is the robot at work. The robot is being used at a solar farm. Now you can see sand below if you can see there. So normally a lot of these solar farms are in desert areas because that is where you get a lot of sun. But in those desert areas, there's a lot of dust also. So the solar panels get dirty. How do you clean them? There isn't enough water in the desert area. So these guys created this robot which does waterless cleaning. So the robot moves up and down and without using water, uses soft micro brushes to remove the dirt. So great business, great product. But when COVID happened, I got a call from one of their professors at IIT Kanpur who had been their guide. He said their business has come to a standstill because of the lockdown. They have zero cash. What can they do? But fortunately, Nikhil and Harshit were brave. They had responded to the Prime Minister's call. Before lockdown 1.0 got declared in 2020 March, the Prime Minister had made an announcement. If anyone has, remember, India did not have any PPE kits, masks, ventilators, nothing initially when COVID hit us. The Prime Minister said, I need entrepreneurs to come up with these products quickly. So Nikhil and Harshit volunteered. They created this small prototype very quickly and sent it to me. And this is the WhatsApp message they sent me. They said, this is the invasive ventilator needed for corona patients. We made this prototype today. We have to make some changes. We can do it in the next 5 to 6 days. It's portable, can run on battery. We developed this yesterday. We can make this work for sure. So I saw this video when they sent it to me, and I'll try and see if I can show this. Yeah, this is, yeah, the video is not working, but I'll show you. So they sent me this video initially, and very, very crude prototype, and they sent me this engineering drawing also. And if some of you are engineers, you will recognize some of the parts here. There are sensors, there are valves, there are compressors. But remember, this was a prototype made during the first few days of the lockdown when everything was shut down. They made a crude prototype, but they asked for support. So we consulted a few well-known doctors. They looked at the design and said, if the right kind of support can be provided to these two youngsters, they can make it happen because the underlying science and engineering is very, very sound. But there were challenges everywhere. These two youngsters, Nikhil and Harshit, had never designed medical equipment before. Even if they've designed it, how do you import components during global lockdown? 60% of the components are imported. There are no factories working. Even if you design a product, how do you manufacture it? Who will approve and certify the product? Will doctors trust the product? And where will funding come from? So lots of challenges. And remember, we all locked down inside our homes. So how do you make it happen? So what I and the professor did was we constituted a very quickly a task force of 20 people and created a WhatsApp group called India Overcomes COVID. And this task force of 20 people met on March 29, 2020 for the first time. The youngest was a fresh engineering pass out of 23 years old, and the oldest was a 73-year-old Padma Shri winner. Semi-strangers, most of these 20 people have never met each other before, but they got together on a 12 noon Zoom call for the first time on March 29, 2020. And every day, 90 days in a row, the Zoom call happened for 2 hours where the product was discussed, challenges were discussed, and teams continued to work through the day and the evening through email, phone, WhatsApp calls, etc. And you know what happened? The product got designed, and this is a well-known hospital in Pune, and the head of the ICU there, she and her team tested the product, and in 90 days, the product was in the market. Most MNCs like Philips, GE, Siemens, they take 18 months to get a product like this from an idea stage to the market. Whereas in lockdown conditions, two young Indian entrepreneurs could do it in 90 days. And as of date today, 3,500 units of this product are deployed at various hospitals across India. And how did this happen? Because of the unique composition of the 20-member task force. All the challenges went away gradually. The task force had 4 experienced medical equipment CEOs and a panel of doctors. There was a supply chain expert who ensured that even when the world was shut down, there were no flights, no couriers, but we could still bring in some components with help from the government. Manufacturing. Factories got opened with special permission. The best labs and doctors approved the product. Funding came from government grants, corporations, other investors, and that led to a certified world-class product that is now deployed at hospitals across India. And the learnings from this project were so much that I and the professor said we have to capture these learnings in a book, and we then wrote a book which had laid out the full methodology of how do you do such rapid innovation in a short 90-day period. That book is called The Ventilator Project. So the message I want to leave with you is that tip number 3 is that in today's world, speed of execution is crucial. All of us are intelligent people. We all have great ideas, but what makes the difference is execution or implementation. How fast can you do it using innovation, using AI, and that's what makes the difference. And that's my third message for you. So all of these examples that I showed you require an entrepreneurial mindset. You need to dream big. Just like Nikhil and Harshit, who dreamt big and said, I want to build a ventilator for India to fight COVID. Or the two young boys who designed Beethoven, AI generated music, they dream big, they take risks, they chase opportunities, they execute well, and there are failures on the way, they overcome it, and they relentlessly learn and persevere. That's the entrepreneurial mindset that will stand you in good stead, irrespective of whether you join a startup or you join a large company. So I have a question. Why do entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs? I'd love to get your views. What is the motivation? Why do entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs? Give me some quick views in the next minute or so through the chat window, and we can talk about this. What motivates them to become entrepreneurs? Any views? Quick responses. Don't have to think too hard. Okay, so Shanti says to make something new. Good answer, Shanti. What else? Ria says bring impact while filling a gap. Perfect. Again, a good answer. What else? So we've got two good answers coming in from Ria and Shanti also says to solve problems. Yes, absolutely. What else? What else can be the motivation? Make something new, bring impact while filling a gap, solve problems. Something else also motivates many people. To try something new is correct, Pehel, so that you can solve problems, bring impact, stand out unique. Akshita, that's on the same lines, to try something new. There is one more thing that motivates people, and that I haven't seen coming here. Some people do it because they think you can make a lot of money by being an entrepreneur. To develop industries, Tejasri, good answer. Lakshmi says to try their innovative ideas. Again, a good answer. Some people believe that to become a billionaire, you need to be an entrepreneur. Again, true. But my view is that if you cannot become an entrepreneur only for making money, you have to be passionate about wanting to solve a problem, to try something new, to try out an innovative idea, to develop an industry, to make an impact. And when you do that, eventually you'll make a lot of money. Elon Musk is making money because he was innovative. He tried to, I mean, look at what he's done: electric vehicles, space travel, and that's why he makes money. So those are the motivations that typically entrepreneurs have. My final story is, who is this lady? What, easy guess. She's from Hyderabad, and therefore that should not be difficult to guess. Correct? PV Sindhu. Absolutely, Pahel. Now, when you see this picture, what comes to your mind? What is the emotion that you see her exhibiting? What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this picture of PV Sindhu? Hard work, correct? What else? Jubilation, champion. What else? Passion, absolutely correct. What else? Success. What else? Determination, achievement. All great answers. Struggle, Dharani, that's also correct. But if you watched her play, she exhibits passion, determination, all of that on the court. But you also see she literally lets out a loud scream when she wins a crucial point. Now, you would believe that that scream, that passion, she always had. That's not the case. Around 2013, when she was at Gopichand's academy in Hyderabad, she was a good player, but Gopichand believed that she needed to develop a killer instinct. So he told her one day that, look, when you win a point, I want you to let out a loud scream. Now, that was not her personality. A lot of us are not of the kind of personality where you will scream and loudly when you win something. But Gopichand wanted her to do that, and she could not do it. He insisted. So one day, when she was practicing at the Gopichand Academy, he said, Sindhu, today, if you don't scream when you win a point, I'm going to shut down the academy and tell everyone to go home. She did not scream. So that day, he told her and everyone else to go home. And she obviously felt very upset because she felt that because of her, everyone had to go home. She came back the next day, and then she was a different person. When she was playing, she was aggressive on court. When she won a point, she started screaming, and that screaming led to a certain killer instinct. So, the purpose of Gopichand insisting that you must scream was to develop a killer instinct through this kind of an action. And rest is history. 2016, she went to Rio Olympics and won the silver. And the killer instinct, the passion, the determination all flowed from this particular action. And she was basically pushed to get out of her comfort zone. And my final tip to you today is that as you are at the early stage of doing an MBA and then getting into a career, many of you will need to move out of your comfort zone. In the first 20 odd years of your life, you would have followed a certain pattern at school and college, been comfortable with it, but may not have been pushed to get out of your comfort zone, to learn new skills which are going to be relevant. You've done what your teachers or parents may have asked you to do, but what are those kind of 21st century skills that can make or break careers? Have you pushed yourself out of your comfort zone? That's a question all of us need to ask ourselves. So, what are 21st century skills? Typically, I've broken them down into two buckets. Most engineers and MBAs usually have the skills on the left side: problem solving, critical thinking, adaptability, leadership, decision making. But many of them are weak on the skills which are shown on the right side: creativity, communication of different kinds, oral, written, public speaking, presentations, networking and social skills, collaboration, listening skills. Now, these are skills that don't naturally come, we're not taught as courses at school or college. And a lot of us may be introvert or shy, not wanting to network, not wanting to be openly communicative. And those are skills that need to be learned. Those are important in the new world. And to that list, I would add AI as one more super important 21st century skill, important to learn. And therefore, the point I would like to make is that this mindset of learning AI and innovation and learning 21st century skills are going to be important for whichever career path you pursue. There are three career paths that you can pursue. You might start a full-fledged startup venture immediately after your MBA. This is not very likely, as we saw from the initial poll, because all of you have concerns. All of us have pressures of saying, earn a salary, have a safe job, save some money, and therefore you may not start something immediately, but eventually you might. But I believe that if you develop an entrepreneurial and AI mindset and 21st century skills, your CV value, your biodata will look much stronger at placements. And therefore, I would strongly recommend that when you do your MBA, look at kind of projects you can do or courses you can do, which can give you that entrepreneurial and AI mindset that will strengthen your CV a lot. And when you get into a corporate career at a big or mid-sized company also, this mindset will stand you in great stead. It will make you stand apart. It will get you your promotions faster. You will become the most valued employee. And therefore, that's the mindset I would recommend that we go in for. With that, I've come to the end of my presentation. We have about 6 minutes for Q&A. I'll be happy to take any questions. I'm going to stop sharing the slides and we can, I'm happy to take any questions. You can send it through the chat box, or you can ask, raise your hand and ask the question. Okay. Uh, okay. One attendee says, can we say entrepreneur as someone who brings out someone else's idea into vision? Not exactly, because an entrepreneur, you could do that, but it's more interesting to be allowed to bring your own idea to life when someone else is supporting you. That's interesting. But what you're saying, I would not rule that out. You might just get super excited about someone else's idea and the organization is supporting. That would obviously be great. Then let me see, we have a couple of questions from Shanti. How can someone move from job to entrepreneurship? Shanti, the point is as follows. When you take up a job for work for 3, 5, 7 years, whatever it takes. Uh, Typically, you'll want to be comfortable by saving up some money, because when you get into entrepreneurship, there is a financial risk. So you want to have saved up some money to help you support yourself. So one purpose is to save enough money, and therefore, whether it takes you 3 years or 5 years, you need to be careful. Second is, working in a job allows you to build a network of contacts, which are again going to be useful to you when you become an entrepreneur. The third is you get some domain knowledge and work experience, which is again going to be useful when you become an entrepreneur. So the question, should you do it 3 years later, 5 years later, entirely depends on how much money you want to save, how confident do you feel about the experience you've gathered and the network you formed. The moment you're clear about that and you think there is a specific problem you want to solve or an opportunity that you want to pursue, that's when you can move from job to entrepreneurship. Ria, your question is, what advice do you have for MBA students who are passionate about entrepreneurship but lack prior experience or technical expertise in AI? Yeah, part of my answer is similar to what I gave Shanti, but what I would add is, therefore, work experience is important. Unless you come from a business family where a lot of business experience you may have inherited through daily conversations around the dining table. But if you're a first generation entrepreneur, working for a few years is always helpful. Technical expertise on AI, I would recommend, there are many ways to do it. Sign up for a Coursera course, sign up for some other course. If your college has not offered it, you should sign up for some course and quickly learn a few basic skills. You don't need to become a super top expert, but at least a working knowledge. That's what I would say, actually. Tejasri says, is MBA AI and data? Not really. I think the two bring very different kind of skills. MBA brings an appreciation of different facets of business, and therefore that's super important. Parallel to that, you should look at doing short-term courses on AI and data science. Uh, I'm not asking you to become a data science expert or an AI expert, but you should be able to apply those. So therefore, do an MBA and parallelly look at doing some short-term courses in AI and data science. I'll give an example, not difficult. Even at my age and my stage in career, 8, 9 years ago, when I became the co-founder of Crayon Data, which is in big data and AI, I needed to learn some skills. So I signed up for a Coursera course before I went out into the market, for example. As Mehek says, absolutely. Uh, BSM offers a specialization in data science, data analytics, and digital technologies. So that stands you in good stead. So you're in good hands and in good shape here. So therefore, you will have a well-rounded learning of not just the business aspects, but also data analytics and digital technologies. So therefore, that should keep you in good shape, actually. So I've answered questions from Shanti, Tejashree, Ria. Any other questions? I don't think so. Let me check the chat box. No, no other questions. Yeah, so I think we are in the last 30 seconds. Mehek, can I hand this back to you?
Yes, Srikant. Just give me a second.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, totally.
So I think we are done with the questions now. Thank you so much, Srikant, for doing this amazing session. I'm sure everybody is taking something or the other takeaway from this session in the field of entrepreneurship. For everybody's information, Srikant is going to take a course in the Contemplative Business Leader at BSM. And right now the admissions are going on. And second round of admission deadline is 25th of March. I'm also sharing the application link in the chat box.
You want me to share screen and show that? The last slide?
Yeah, you can actually.
Okay. Yeah. Second round of application deadline 25th March. And I just want to add to what Mehek said. I've already got my dates fixed to teach that full course next year, February 2025. and I hope to see many of you there at this great institution that's coming up.
Yes. I've shared the link. You can check our website, go through our courses, go through our faculty list. And thank you so much for this session. Good night.
Thank you. See you all.
It was a pleasure to host you.